Todd Shaw, the Executive Vice President of Fountain Life. Thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited. Everyone that knows me knows I've been talking about this panel for many, many months. So Susie, the Global Wellness Institute has recently come out with some mind-blowing statistics on wellness real estate and projections for the next 5 years. Please educate us. How big is this market, and can you put it into perspective?
So this is the best way to sort of look at what's happening in wellness. And that big number on top, 6.3 trillion, is the latest figure from our research institute for, it just came out with that number for 2023. That is a huge number. That's revenue per year globally. And the size of those bubbles, these are all sectors of the wellness market. So some are very familiar: physical activity, nutrition. The beauty industry is actually the biggest bubble. Wellness tourism, wellness real estate, that's the one in purple. And that is now 438 billion. And that is a very large number. But what's interesting, and maybe the next slide will show, is just how strong that is. And you can see here, those are all the segments of the wellness market. And the wellness real estate market is at 18.1%, the historical annual growth rate. And it grew even during COVID, as Todd knows. There's a lot of appetite. There's a lot of appetite for wellness, I would say from almost anyone. But now people want to live and have health where they're living. So that was historic. This is the projected numbers, and 15.8% is the projected annual growth rate. So there's just a lot of vibrancy in this sector. And I think there's a few more. Yes, this is the chart that shows wellness real estate compared to overall construction. And you can see how robust, in the last year, 13.4% growth versus 1.9% growth in construction. So I would say wellness is definitely where it's at in the future for our real estate. And this just is a combination chart that shows the upward trajectory. And our researchers have been doing this research on wellness for over 18 years. So we know the numbers are very reliable, and so we have a lot of confidence even in the predictions.
Well, thank you for telling us about the market, how big the market is. Alfredo, so your company, AG7, is doing exciting work in Brazil. You were the pioneers of wellness in the multifamily sector there, and creating a longevity brand, building experience that is designed to help people live to 100 and beyond, even adding forests and parks to projects. Can you tell us about some of your buildings?
Yeah, thank you, Robin. So I'm Alfredo, the founder and CEO of AG7. We are really proud for coming for such a long way to here. So yeah, we're doing wellness real estate since 2017. And I think to address your question, I will split it in 3 key messages so we can understand what is the concept and what is AG7 doing in this sector. I think the first key message is that what is a wellness building? A wellness building is a building that is proactively designed to enhance people to a healthier lifestyle in a daily basis routine. So at the end of the day, we're not just selling developments. We need to people, when they're using it, to evolve from worse lifestyle to a better lifestyle. The second thing about longevity, which is an amazing topic, is to discuss what are the longevity challenges that people are suffering and how can wellness real estate make their role in people's lives. So if we think in perspective, people are not dying or having diseases anymore from external factors. The problems that we are issuing nowadays as a society, as we are aging and getting older, are coming from a bad lifestyle behavior that we already have. So when we do our buildings, we go in front. We want to attack this problem to make people have a healthier lifestyle, so they can enhance their quality of life. And the third main topic that I would like to introduce is about we are putting the customer first, before the customer experience first, before designing the spaces. So it's a bit different from traditional development. And what is the most interesting thing and what I like most is that luxury is meeting wellness. So we are not selling assisted living, we are not selling senior living, we are even bringing triathletes to co-brand the development with us. So what we are selling is quality of life. So and this is a luxury selling. We are not, of course we have the best materials, we are in the best location, we have the best finishings, we have the best architects, the product speaks for itself, but we're not selling bricks. We're selling longevity and a healthier lifestyle, which we think would be the ultimate stage of luxury. And in that way, we can create a wellness ecosystem and reshape the future of living.
Would people get thrown out of the building if they decide not to pursue a wellness lifestyle after buying? Could somebody get thrown out of the building potentially if they don't pursue a wellness lifestyle? If they don't pursue a wellness lifestyle, do they have to go?
Actually, you will have a wellness lifestyle because the experiences to go to the gym, to go to the spas, the experiences to have a healthier nutrition, they are so amazing that you would not choose to don't have a healthier lifestyle.
And before this talk, you were telling me this wonderful story about a gentleman. He completely changed his health trajectory after moving into your building.
Yeah, we're seeing that happen. In fact, so it's really fun because we have. It's kind of a family, healthier experience. So we have this customer that bought a condo with us. And he's living in the, actually he's not even living in the building, and he's an athlete, an amateur athlete, but he's training every day in the building, in the condo building. His apartment is not ready to move, so he's using it without living there. And what happens is that his dad is coming in together, because he's seeing his child have such an improvement in his lifestyle, and he's making his dad come through. So his dad, which was, he's not even a resident, his dad, he's coming to use the building every day at 6 a.m. They go to the gym, they go to the spa facilities every day. They do cold plunge, they do sauna, they do steam. We have, of course, hospitality services in the building, and I think we are thriving when we're doing that, because we're making sensations and not selling just bricks.
Incredible work. Todd, Fountain Life is at the forefront of medical innovation, such as wearables, sleep trackers, toxin tests, skin temperature sensors, grip strength tests, on and on. And relevant to this audience, the company is bridging the gap between wellness, medicine, and hospitality. So can you discuss these different converging technologies and how we are seeing that played out in the built environment? How are these and other technologies being incorporated into the real estate development work you're doing?
Thank you very much, and congratulations. That sounds great. 90% of healthcare is treating chronic disease. And exactly to your point, lifestyle. When we talk about living to 100, 120, 150, we really need to change our mindset. Don't think about being decrepit and not being able to play golf. We're talking about changing the epigenome. So when we're the exposome, please look this up. How does the environment from in utero all the way today have an impact on your genome? How's that expression happening? So at Fountain Life, we're using MRI, full body AI overlay with the brain, CT, low-dose lung, genome, genetic sequencing, epigenetics, all of these things essentially collecting 150 gigabytes of data, and then working with developers like Alfredo, who now we can collect data on the environment. And every day, just by sitting in this room today here, our lives are changing just a little bit. There's a billion biochemical transactions happening in every cell. There's 47 trillion cells in the body, means there's 47 billion trillion every second happening. So we're being impacted by all of this. And for us, we're taking all this data inside of our AI overlay, consuming information. The future of your home is actually healthcare, where it's actually this passive side. So you had asked, does someone actually participate in these activities? Well, it has to be passive, right? This information has to come to us because 80% of the population is not going to participate. The Global Wellness Institute did an incredible job about creating this market, really, wellness real estate. And in the beginning, it was talking about enable people. Now we're talking about empowering people, right? Empowering them, having the amenities in SOAR, but then pushing information where it actually becomes relevant, where they participate without even knowing it. And the majority of the things that we're seeing here is sleep, exercise, air, water, nutrition. And I say bio breaks on here. I want you to envision one thing happen. This is way out in the future. You walk into your restroom in the morning, you use the toilet, you get in the shower, your toothbrush, it's reading everything from you. And it's telling you what you need to do. So the future of healthcare is in the home, and it's actually being passive and pushing information and data to you.
How far out is this technology from being in?
Oh, the future is now. The future
So are people
absolutely
living in
is
these
now.
homes, or people living in such
We
homes?
right now we have things like we're doing at Meet Wit at the Tavistock here. Amy was here, and the Wit House, all this incredible technology, and we're working with Samsung. Now imagine you have 150 gigabytes of medical data on yourself. Your environment is constantly reading you HRV, your blood pressure, your biometrics, everything. And your Samsung refrigerator is reading the content in your fridge and sending you an Instacart shopping list of what you need based on not only your nutrition requirements, but also what your preferences are. This is happening.
Wow. Tremendous.
It's expensive.
Yes.
It's happening.
Matthias, what are you seeing in the multifamily sector? How far are developers, your clients, willing to go to incorporate wellness amenities? Are you finding your clients are ready to embrace these trends for the most part?
Yeah, so we're basically a boutique innovation firm, and we hop around the world. So we have projects in America, Europe, and in the Middle East currently. And I see actually a lot of different sentiments. In some markets, people are incredibly curious about it. In other markets, they're still a little bit hesitant because there's a formula that works, and to break the formula and to innovate is a little bit difficult. But now I have a question here, just to take the temperature in the audience. I give you two choices. You can choose to own a Ferrari, or you can live longer. Hands up for Ferrari. Hands up for living longer. Right? So this is awesome. Right? There is this incredible opportunity now that we can actually design environments where we can almost guarantee that people living in these environments live longer, healthier, and happier. One of them is what you're talking about, technology. It is amazing. There is so much innovation happening right now. And there's actually so much funding, right? The funding has tripled in longevity in the last couple of years. Everyone wants to really be part of that innovation, but not just because it's good for everyone else. It's very good for the people who are doing it, because most people who are funding it want to actually live much longer. The other element which is so interesting is that there are very basic architectural elements that we can do. They're not technology that make us live longer, healthier, and happier. Social connection, urban integration, the beauty of basically having access to good food and good air and all the good kind of environmental elements. And we can design all of that into a beautiful building that is engaging, that makes people happy. Because also happiness is also a factor that actually affects longevity. So there's so many amazing tools. And what I'm so excited about to see outside of America, that there are some of these innovators who are actually testing right now what's possible, and they're about to bring it to the country.
Thank you. So this is open to the panelists, whoever thinks they would like to answer this question. So to create a truly well multifamily building where every longevity pillar has been thought of and implemented, what premium could a developer hope to attain on the project? Because over the course of the 2 days, we've heard statistics like 20 to 30% for a brand new residence that you might see as an industry premium. One would assume that longevity would be higher because what is a bigger luxury in life than wellness? So I wonder what you thought of that, what you think of the numbers on the development side.
Well, I understand 20 to 30% higher on the wellness side, but I want to frame a picture on longevity. What we're talking about is actually not dying from heart disease, not dying from cancer, not dying from metabolic syndrome, basically erasing this. Heart disease has been the #1 killer for over 100 years. And let's just say it is 100% preventable. Now imagine, let's take one step further and go, okay, what if we were able to do a tour of a building from a sales perspective and say, not one single person has ever died inside of this building from heart disease, from cancer, from metabolic syndrome, from kidney disease, and go on and on and on. In 10 years, how much would that residential unit be worth? So I think that's how we have to go backwards into what value would be from a longevity perspective.
I can see in the future developers bragging about they have residents living to 130, 140. So they get the highest price. Forget about what floor you're on.
We do an event, as you know, where we gather people who are in wellness real estate, whether it's communities or residences or buildings, and we've asked that question, what is the premium? And we're finding that 20% is a number that we're hearing quite a bit. I think the answer is always, it depends, but I think 20% is a good number. I did want to add one thing that each of us have touched on, is that there's a difference between health span and lifespan. When we talk about longevity, I don't think any of us want to live so long and have, be decrepit and, not be able to live vibrantly. So nowadays, people are talking about health span. That's what they want to expand. They want to live longer vibrantly. So that might not be quite as long as some others, but that's kind of where we want to end up.
How do you guys think about brass tacks? Like, how will developers be able to afford to build a multifamily high-rise that kind of integrate all the technology that Todd was talking about that exists now and whatever's to come to the future? It seems like, is there a line item for these amenities?
Well, I think if we try to develop a wellness building with the same formulas that we're still developing, all of those buildings as industry have ever built in the past century. I mean, we're still developing in the old way. So I think the amount of value you are creating for the person that is using it, it's not even measurable, because it's a major shift of selling square meters to a better lifestyle. And I think it's just in the beginning of the trend. I know everybody here, in some point of their life, they're gonna buy a new house with these features and amenities, because it's not coming from the developer side, it's coming from the customer side. And the wellness movement is hitting all the industries. So I think we as developers, we are glad to understand our role in this situation, because this is a major opportunity. We can almost be the healers, because when we do wellness real estate, actually we are delivering the pinnacle of wellness, because we can address all the wellness issues in a daily basis living. So I think us as developers, if if we think what can we do by square meter of if we think this is too expensive by now, I think we are gonna come with the same old formulas. But when we see here, I don't know, 150 branded residences coming up in Miami, and you're paying 5 to 6% of your gross revenue, and you're paying something for the condos. My God, it's too much. So when we do these wellness developments, I think it's much cheaper because at the end of the day, people want to get natural things. I think technology is a big partner to you to have a natural lifestyle. I mean, the pandemic showed it to us, and I think when you're in Miami also, it's much easier to have a healthier lifestyle, but because you're at the beach. I mean, what is better than that? But when you go to urban centers like New York City, like Sao Paulo, or other cities that are like really dense cities, I think these are the challenges, and I think people will pay lots of money to get wellness residents in this kind of city.
Great, Matthias, do you agree? Are you think you're seeing this in the U.S. with the clients that you have?
Yeah, I think what is very important to also see different tiers, right? Because there is one layer that is super expensive, right? And you're going to have a lot of customers who are going to tap into that, which are health services and medical alterations. But then there are also like super low-cost things that I actually wrote a book on aging with the subtitle "Live Longer, Live Better Forever," which basically gives just people 60 tips they can do now to just change the way how they can live and then better and healthier. One of them is, for example, social connections. In one of the buildings that we designed 3 amenity spaces on top of each other, we designed a stair. And the stair is intentionally too small that 2 people can pass by. So every time somebody's using the stair, they have to talk to the other person who's going the other way. And the building became social, like this. Right, so we can really calibrate it and find what are the right things that we can do for the price tag. But what we really should do, every building should really start to look into longevity, because we kind of owe it to us and everyone else.
So I know with your book, this is one of my questions later, but since you mentioned the book, sort of how do you think older Americans are going to age in the coming years? I mean, you just touched on it, but for example, you know, there's talk of like aging in place, building homes that someone could stay in from their 20s, and then communities that are designed to bring the generations together, where you have multiple generations living side by side. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think what is super important that we stop this kind of age segregation, and because fun fact is we start aging at the day we're born. And actually from day one, we should actually look into longevity principles to live actually longer and healthier. So we shouldn't wait until we're like 50, 60, 70 and say like, okay, now I want to live healthy, right? And also the integration of different generations and people can be incredible, inspiring and helpful and healthy. What you just set the example from the father and the son suddenly working out together, doing things together, right? How amazing is that when that can happen? So there's a very much an underlying thing, and other countries admittedly are much better. You have Korea, it's very, very conscious about the integration of generations. Also Japan, Germany, a little bit bumpy. In the UK, it's also getting a little bit better there in terms of awareness. In America, it's very segregated. But I think here's also the possibility in this country to create basically your chosen family, which are maybe the friends, like-minded people within the building. So all of these kind of things can be engineered and designed to actually do unfold the advantages of that kind of connectivity between people.
I'd love to see that. Oh, please, yes.
One thing we got to think about aging is your chronological age, right, and your epigenetic age. So just because I'm 87, look at me, right? No, but this idea that you go, well, if you have one age that you chronologically measure, and we are getting the epigenome where we can see actually how old you are biologically. So what we're talking about is reversing the clock. And there's also data and experiments out there that can actually stall and actually reset our bodies. So we're going to see, there's people in this room who are going to see no aging. And they're going to be able to completely reset themselves, and that is a fact. There's no question about it. But really what we're talking about is stalling the aging process. So now when we think of a 100-year-old adult, they're acting like a 75-year-old playing golf and actually physically fit. And we're seeing in Fountain Life this idea where someone who comes in who's 80 or 83 years old, I think he thought he was coming to his end. We did all of our diagnostics, went through everything, like, my God, you're healthy. I mean, your biological age is like 72. You're really healthy. Next thing you know, the guy's having the time of his life. He's out there playing golf and tennis. He's going and drinking beers with his buddies. I mean, it completely changes everything. So sometimes it's the mindset.
But what I like about this idea is almost that people have these kind of checkups to actually have an awareness of where they are and have this support system around it. Because that is, when you think about services, how amazing would be that service that you have a once a year check-in in your apartment, and they're just saying like, okay, look, maybe do this a little bit slightly different, and by the way, down there is the treadmill, there is maybe a friend who can run with you, and that could actually sometimes push people a little bit further, because I feel like the activation of people is really important, that there is a motivation, and the motivation needs to come naturally through kind of like joy, but also pushing it a little bit through kind of redirecting it with some expertise.
You know, I wanted to just add something, if I could, going back to what Louise Sunshine said, which I thought was very wise, as she is, and that is how important it is to plan ahead for the buildings. And I think that's the important part with wellness that we're not, quite frankly, seeing yet. Right now, it's like you were saying, you know, build a building that I'm used to building, but let's add wellness. But really, to have a true wellness building and a wellness experience, you have to really think way back before that, before you even maybe choose the location and how, you know, where the light is coming in and, you know, every piece of it, the air, the water, and so on. So I think, you know, because I know there are a lot of developers out here, that if we can, and if I could encourage you to think about the wellness part earlier, I think we'll have more successful buildings. And I mean, these three are pioneers. They're out front, because this is very, very new. So I'm applauding you for, already you're saying things like the importance of community. I mean, a lot of people don't understand that, but that is a real key, that when people, they you know, there's so much health in relationships, and that's what these buildings ideally should foster. But you have to be thoughtful about that. You don't just kind of throw it in at the end.
So Alfredo, I'm curious, coming from Brazil, where you're implementing these ideas, and when you got to Miami and you are here, and I'm sure you knew about it, but just to see how branded residences are all the rage. And of course, wellness is a conversation within that, right? But it's not the brand itself. So were you surprised that there's not more of what you're doing here?
Yeah, actually, I think the trend of branded residences is fascinating, but brands, they give you exclusivity and prestige. I think we're still not looking to the customer and how they're using it. And I think that it's really hard to sell something that is not yours. I mean, the effort we're giving it to sell another brands every time we launch a new development, we're not talking about us. We're always giving the credits to someone else. So when we see about wellness real estate brands, wellness real estate buildings, we are not talking about some other company. We're talking about how our customer, how our resident is gonna thrive in his new residence. We're talking about what are the sensations that he's feeling in the new home that he chose for. So I think in Miami, of course, the wellness trend is going to catch up the branded residences trend. I think this is a really new trend. I think we cannot avoid the power of an increased rate. So if wellness real estate is growing at 18% a year, so it means that it's going to double in 4 years, and of that. So next year is more. Next year is more and more. So we cannot stop it, and it's coming from the customers' demand. It's not being imposed by the developers. So I think it's going to come really hardly here in US. And I think if you have a bad location, you can also, as a developer, you can also make it become a great location. If you treat it as a wellness retreat, if you try to, before designing the building, I think that's an opportunity for developers to make their buildings much more profitable, bringing the wellness concept to their buildings. And in Miami, I think we're going to see lots of it. Not in Miami, but also in Abu Dhabi, Dubai, and these places that attract lots of foreign capital.
Well, maybe the four of you will get together and develop a building together. And I'll do the PR. Thank you. So we have some minutes left to have questions from the audience.
Yes, thank you guys. As a prospective buyer walks into a condo high-rise development, and they're intrigued by this, but they have limited knowledge, what are the things they should be asking for? AC systems, water purification, so what are some of the key points that people are interested in asking about this as a novice?
Yeah, I think, which makes it so fascinating, and I feel like there's also that story that can be really crafted around it of longevity and wellness. But that starts, of course, with technological elements, right? The air that is healthy, the materials that has less fumes in it, natural ventilation options, all of these kind of things. I think actually Miami has some really interesting buildings already implying that. There's a WELL certification that is in a good direction. But what's still missing is really the human-centric element to it, as an experience of a self-improvement element, because in the end, right, the health is our own responsibility, right? It cannot come from the outside only, it has to come from the inside and also from our way, how we interact and how we act in our lives. And maybe as an abstract reference, what I find fascinating is there's now the new John George building, branded residence. It's the first time, right, that like food, not just as a restaurant, as an experience, and even with the ingredients and all of these elements come into the lifestyle. And behind it is also still technology, but there is more than that. And I think that is really important. We have to get the hardware right, but then we have to also have the amenities and the circulation and the passages and everything right. But then there's even the added kind of consideration is about how people really gonna use it, how that supports basically active lifestyle, healthy choices, and social attributes. And there's a lot of engineering that needs to happen around in terms of concepts, but there's also something really fascinating, and I'm actually surprised I have not heard artificial intelligence at all in these conversations here, because there's an incredible tool now that can help us to do research on people, on behaviors, and we can actually test rapidly different options and optimize it before we make a choice of a building. And these things now, it's almost a paradigm change that is happening all at once in multiple different trades and sciences and in architecture. And that's why I see all of that coming together as an immersive experience. And technology is just one, easy to solve. The other ones are much harder.
To your question, what do people ask for? We found overall, looking at a lot of different properties, is that air was one of the most important things, that will be an important sales tool, that explaining how different the air is. And then, you know, the customer, I would say, they don't know what to ask for. I mean, they might ask about air, but they're not going to ask about community or relationships, because that is an intangible that probably would actually be a turnoff. You know, to talk to someone, well, you know, this is a very community-oriented building. A lot of people would say, I don't want that. They don't know they will want that, but you know, that's just something else. If you can still, I contributed a few slides, one of which is a high-rise here in Miami, if that can come up. I just wanted to mention that, yes, there it is, the Aston Martin Residences in Miami, that building there. And this is a personal story because I'm going to be moving into that building next month. And they just finished. And if you can see kind of the top, well, the top is the penthouse, but right below the top is where they have their fitness. And it's on 2 stories, and there's a glass stairway between. And it is so beautiful. So they obviously put a lot of money, because, you know, a fitness center is a fitness center. But, you know, when you have a view, and that's the building also, and on the other side, you can see there, that is the Epic building. That's where I currently live. And then the next slide will show you why I live there. And it's because 10 years ago, when I moved from New York to Miami, because it's a healthier lifestyle here, they had an Exhale spa. And that's what, that's why I bought the condo, because I wanted to live in a place where I knew there was a branded spa that I knew would deliver. Now it's not there anymore. There's another spa there, but nevertheless, that was very, very important. So that's just a personal story.
Yes, we do.
If I just can add an opinion, I think this is the beautiful side of it. So you bought a story, you bought a gym, or an elevated gym at, I don't know, 100 meters from the sea level, and the experience behind it is what makes it people want to buy it. So we can standardize of making patterns, the WELL certification, the LEED certification, the FitWell certification. It can show you what are the materials that are being used in the building. But I don't think people buy buildings when they go for wellness buildings. They're buying experiences. They're buying a lifestyle. They buy much more than the building as itself. And for the building as itself, we have these companies like WELL, like FitWell, and like this, LEED, that can standardize the building and say, well, your quality of air is like this or like that.
I think we're done. I think we're over. So thank you so much. A quick break, and we're going to talk about second homes. Thank you so much.
Thank you.